What is up? Welcome back to the Words from the Nerds podcast, episode 68, I believe. Episode 68. Forgive me, I just had
One off from the good one.
a blue slushy. I just had a blue slushy, so if you're watching on video, please ignore my blue mouth. But anyways, we are back with another fun episode. Got two shows to cover this week. Our weekly nerdy news rundown, using it till it sticks, and just want to do some housekeeping. You can text us. And speaking of that, I haven't checked in a while if we've gotten any new text messages, but we have gotten a comment that we'll get to here in a little bit. But you can text us any audio platform you're listening on. I'm still trying to figure out how to embed the link into the YouTube description. But any audio listening platform, you can check the bio and you can see a little link that'll take you to your messages where you can add your name and tell us whatever it is you want to tell us. If you agree with one of our takes, if you absolutely despise one of our takes, or if you have any feedback or criticism, you can do it all there and we'll read it live on the podcast. Drop a like, drop a sub, click the notification bell, all that fun stuff. And at the end of the day, thank you for even just clicking on this, however you're listening, however you're watching. As I said, we have a great episode today. Lots of news to break down. And I've been so excited to talk about all of this stuff we're talking about today. But before we do that, Mr. Benjamin, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to talking about the news and stuff this week. I definitely, we kind of talked about before how just covering Agatha and Penguin, we didn't really know how that was working out. So I'm glad that it seems like for both of the shows that they've started to kind of ramp up the things that we might want to discuss. And it was also, relative to just recent times, it was a pretty big week when it comes to news stuff. There's just like a lot of different stuff that came out. Even if there's, I don't necessarily think there's too many huge things. There was just a lot of little stuff that was kind of cool. So, yeah, I'm doing well. I can't really complain. It's another fine night, another good week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Mr. Charles, the man of the hour. You're muted, buddy.
Damn it. I didn't know I was the man of the hour.
I wasn't going to say anything.
But I'm doing fantastic. Sorry about the muting. I think, my girlfriend's vacuuming, so I just want to make sure that didn't come through. But I'm doing fantastic. I always love coming in here, talking to the gen about whatever stupid or not stupid, sometimes good, oftentimes good things that we can come and discuss about and talk about our thoughts on. And as Ben mentioned, this is kind of the second week of our change up of run of a show, if you want to call it. And I think it went pretty well last week, and I'm excited to continue it because, to think about it, like, if we weren't doing this, all we'd be talking about in this episode is probably like just the Penguin episode or just the Agatha episode. But we'll talk about those later. I'm excited to get into some news.
Yeah, and with that being said, we will kick it off. Now, I'm going to get into my own little piece of news because I have to do my part and I have to spread the gospel. All right? I have to spread the gospel because as a One Piece fan, I feel like that is kind of in the contract if you like the show. So, wow. One Piece is on a hiatus for, crazy enough, y'all don't have to like the show. Y'all don't have to like anything about it. But for the first time in 25 years is going on a break, which means no anime episodes. They just announced a little bit after that no more. They're going to pause the manga for a bit. Prayers to Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, because this man works literally 16-hour days on One Piece. Wakes up and he goes off of, I mean, some of the stuff I've seen, he goes off of like 4 hours of sleep, and he is just eat, sleep, and breathe One Piece. And so a lot of people worry about his health, and they're now taking breaks on both sides of the media, which is kind of concerning. Nothing's come out about it yet, but just in case, as we've seen today, anything can happen at any moment. So prayers out to him just to get ahead of that. But pretty crazy, and I'm bringing that up because if anyone here is listening, that means you have 6 months to catch up on One Piece. That is 6 glorious months where there will be no anime, there will be no manga, which means the ending is paused for 6 whole months. This is your time to catch up. This is your time to watch. There's multiple outlets. I mean, we got a live action show. We have a remake coming out next year. We have a spin-off animation that Netflix is doing next year. And of course, we have the original anime coming out every week. Obviously, that's paused for the 6 months. But, you know, you have 1,123 episodes to watch. So take this time to watch One Piece. Take this time to finally put everything aside and click episode 1. Thank you very much. However, I want to get into some Spider-Man news. This came from My Time to Shine Hello, almost immediately after the episode came out, last week, our episode. She says, I hear Tom Holland will be the main lead in Avengers Doomsday, but will have a smaller role in Secret Wars. And then apologize if you can hear my dogs in the back. And then another piece of news, I hear, and we could just go through the first piece together and then go through the second together. I hear Zendaya will return for Spider-Man 4. She will film from June to August and then move to film Dune 3. Unfortunately. The movie will have a second female lead. It's unclear who she is. They are casting a new group of classmates for Peter and 2 new villains. Also, Michael Keaton will be coming back. Yeah, not a big fan of the Zendaya news at all. I don't think she should be anywhere. I don't think her or Ned should be anywhere near this 4th movie. I think we've pretty much set that up on No Way Home. And I never liked her as MJ or Mary Jane in the first place. Very, very much the worst part of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies. I think it is a horrible addition. I've been outward. I've never liked her. I've never liked her as MJ, and I've never liked her in the Spider-Man movies. It's just, there's a lot of moments where it was just like, it just felt like a bunch of like old people being like, oh, how do we write teenagers these days? Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, at a certain point, it just gets old where she's like, I don't know. There's a lot of moments I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's a lot of moments where she's just like, she just says like some edgy thing, or she's just mean to Peter. And then she's like, yeah, that's right. That's who I am. And it's like, oh, brother. Like, oh, my God. Tom Holland being the main for Doomsday, though, is surprising. I would have likened it to someone like Doctor Strange. But then to have him have a smaller role in Secret Wars, I don't know. I'm just still kind of like, just watching from the sidelines a little bit, waiting to see what happens, hoping that I can trust Marvel and hoping that that they make the right decisions. But Spider-Man being a main for Doomsday is a decision. I would have preferred Doctor Strange or something, but it makes sense. I mean, Tom Holland is possibly the face of Marvel now, and so yeah.
I'll go first. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
As for the Tom Holland news with him being the lead for Doomsday, I actually think that this makes sense if Marvel is going the route that we kind of all think that they are with Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Which is that they're playing on Robert Downey Jr., playing some sort of either variant or at least being recognizable to our characters. So if they're going that route, then having Tom Holland at the forefront makes sense. arguably, one of the biggest relationships with our, current team of heroes, at least, that's still around, would be with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So from that regard, you can kind of see that they might be going down that path. And I think regardless of that, like even if you take that away, I'm kind of fine with this because it's paired with like he has a smaller role in Secret Wars, which like, if we're going to say that Doomsday to Secret Wars is going to be like, part 1 of a big event and then part 2 is an even larger, even, just massive insane event, then I feel like having him be a lead on, the smaller of the 2 scale Avengers films, if that's what that ends up being, that actually makes sense. And then somebody like Doctor Strange could take the forefront when we get to, the big event, which will be Secret Wars. So I don't know. I don't think that I necessarily see that as like an issue, but I don't know how I feel if they do lean into the Robert Downey Jr. variant, having characters recognize him stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then for Zendaya returning for Spider-Man 4, I don't share the hatred that you have for her, Aiden. I actually didn't know you thought that, to be honest. But I think that most people would agree that from a story perspective, we just don't want her back. And it doesn't necessarily have to do, at least for me and for a lot of people, it doesn't have to do with Zendaya or her character, but that like we're moving past that. We're doing something different. Down the line, it could make sense, but to introduce her right back into the next Spider film after the ending of No Way Home, I think a lot of people are against that. Now, this second female lead thing, who knows? I mean, I think I saw it on Twitter at one point. Somebody said, like, Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat or something like that. Just something like that. So who knows what that actually means for the story and whatnot. And, there's a world where they have Zendaya back and she's not the love interest. And so they're able to lean in with this other female lead character and kind of create a dynamic that could actually be interesting. But I don't know. I can't say I'm inherently against her coming back, but I'm still on, like, I don't think she should. It's just like, maybe there's something there that we're not seeing. And if so, prove me wrong. But my gut reaction says, like, I don't think this is the best idea.
Yeah, my take on him being the potential lead for Doomsday, I don't love it, personally. If that is going to be the case, obviously, I'm going to go in with an open mind no matter what. But it just doesn't. It's not ringing up with me. It puts forth so many questions for me personally, just with like the idea of anchor beings, and we know that that's a concept that at least we hope continues forward in the future. And I don't know if I like the idea of Spider-Man being the anchor being. Not that I think that even if he is the anchor being and they kill him, he's going to stay dead, unless they introduce someone like Miles at some point in the MCU, which I don't know how fast that would, how that would be fast tracked or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I think I'll be happy to see Spider-Man in another Avengers film and having a bigger role. Although the role that he had in Infinity War, I thought was perfect. Now, another sort of tag along role like that in Doomsday, I would have been in much higher favor of, but I'm not going to be too angry about that, and I'm sure that that's what his role is going to be more like when it comes to Secret Wars. I imagine it's going to be like that for most of the characters if they plan on including everybody within that, but that's a different conversation. As for Zendaya coming back, Aiden, you're on some kind of grade A.
Oh my God! Don't
That's
start
insane,
this,
man.
brother.
Listen, I'm actually sort of in agreement with you. It's just that, like, for me, I wish that she acted more like comic MJ, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't like if you're gonna make her MJ, let her be MJ then, you know? Like I don't what is this dumb that doesn't give a shit about anything kind of character that she's portraying. Like I don't know. And obviously there are moments of genuine character care, I guess, with her in terms of Peter and Ned and et cetera, et cetera. And we see some of that, and they've even leaned into like, especially in No Way Home, that like this is MJ. Like her last name is Watson. She just doesn't use it for whatever reason, and so. But talking into the larger aspect of it, I am. You guys know I've very much been against them bringing her back. The only way that I think it works and why I'm not like immediately so pissed off is like as long as it is as far as it goes is, for example, the first half of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 where Andrew Spider-Man is watching over Gwen and making sure that she's okay from afar, you know, not trying to reconnect with her or trying to do X, make her remember whatever stupid idea that they're most likely going to do. As long as they were to keep it like that, I'm fine with her being on board. But I just don't think that that's the route that they're going to go with. And I also think that when it comes down to the actual writing of the film, I think they recently said, I think it was like last month we found out that the same writers are coming back for Spider-Man 4, the same writers for that wrote for the first three movies. And, you know, not the biggest fan of the first three movies with the exception of No Way Home. And I like Homecoming as well. Far From Home, eat a dick. But that's fine, Benji. That's fine. That's fine, Benji. That's fine, right? As for the other female lead, that's my hypothesis is Felicia. We've never had a live-action Black Cat. We've had a live-action Felicia in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but she wasn't like really Felicia. So it'd be cool to see the first ever live-action Black Cat. I think that'd be awesome. And other than that, I don't see like maybe like a female lead, like if they did Gwen, because they haven't done Gwen yet, but I don't think they're gonna do that. And then Michael Keaton coming back, which, all right, yeah, I could have guessed that, you know, they have to do something with the end of Morbius, so.
You think it's the end of Morbius?
There has to be some follow through with that, you know, and who knows? Maybe we'll see a connection to that in Venom next week. Who knows? But Michael Keaton, and I think it said two new villains. I hope, and especially after watching Better Call Saul, Aiden knows. I hope they're finally following through with Scorpion, bro. Oh my gosh, bring Michael Mando back, bring him back. Michael Mando, however you say his last name, but dude, bring him back. I need that. I need that in my life, bro. But with all the other rumors as well of them talking about how it's apparently going to be another multiverse style story, I don't see how Scorpion would fit into that. But who knows? Maybe they could do the little workaround. That's what of all of this, and I know it wasn't in today's news that we're talking about, but I am so disappointed that the same writers are back. They changed up the director. It's the director of Shang-Chi, and like give me like new writers as well. I love fresh blood. I want new perspectives, and I'm gonna expand on that idea in later news that we get to, and I'll reinforce why I think it's such a great idea to have that.
Yeah, I would love to see Michael Mando back in the MCU. Oh my gosh! You also forget last time we saw Michael Keaton's Vulture in the MCU was him talking to Michael Mando's Scorpion. So. Mm-hmm. You know, not too far off. That's not a bad call out. I would absolutely love that decision. All right, going into our next piece of news, we have, and if I keep looking down, sorry, I'm just getting these time codes. We have early MCU reactions, and we got a couple of them. First one, it pains me to say this, but
you don't have to do this, bro. You don't have to do this.
I know. Hold my hand while I read this out. My Time to Shine Hello says, just heard back from like 3 people who went to go see Captain America Brave New World test screenings, and woof!
You don't have to finish the sentence, Hayden, please. You don't have to finish the sentence, bro. You don't have to do this. You don't have to, bro.
Movie sounds awful. No! Why? Why? Please let her be wrong, man. Please let her
They
be
hate
wrong.
me so much, bro.
I want nothing.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're going to be wrong. Everybody's going to be wrong. Just like they were wrong about the Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I stand by that to this day. So that's fine. That's fine. Continue.
I want nothing more than this to not be what it is, man. Because I want this movie to win. I want this to win so hard. And hearing that doesn't sound great. But I will say this is only one tweet I saw. Haven't seen anyone else talk about early screenings or quote-unquote spoilers of the movie or how good or how bad it is. So we still have some hope, but I want nothing more than for this to be an absolute win. I take that back. I saw a different account tweet some spoilers for Thunderbolts. Oh, I guess that's it. Yeah, it's complete. I got my movies mixed up. Anyways, off topic, but I saw some spoilers for Thunderbolts. I don't think they're true. I mean, it's whatever. But anyways, as for Brave New World, this is the only thing I've seen early review wise. So I don't know. We might still have some hope, but trailer looks great. I think Marvel needs an absolute win right now, theater wise, to keep building up off that hype from Deadpool and Wolverine. So I'm really hoping this isn't true, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer to hear. Don't know how true it is, though. Coming from My Time to Shine, I'm hoping that this is one of her flops. But, we'll see. I agree. The trailer's really good. Really damn good trailer. So I hope to see that in the actual film, though. 4 months away. 4 months away. So.
We're so close.
Yeah. For me, like the hope that or not the hope, but I guess the cope that I would have with this is that, like, you don't know how many of these projects that we're getting now for Marvel have been down the pipeline for so long that they, like, can't fix certain issues with a project. Like, I would maybe argue that about, Agatha or Echo and whatnot, that, like, since they do things so far in advance that Marvel couldn't get the proper audience feedback and critique from some of their projects to do a course correction immediately. Like, they can't just do that with films that take years to make. The problem with this, though, is, like, they just did reshoots for this, and it's not like this film has been, done for years and they're now just working on marketing and then getting it released. They went back and tried to fix it, which, like, they also did that for Daredevil and had a rewrite of that. They're still working on Blade. So I know that Kevin Feige specifically has talked about kind of like lowering the amount of projects, taking a step back, and putting significance into each one. But, like, if you're going to go back and say that and then do reshoots and you're still going to put out something that's not good, which, you have to take this with a grain of salt. But if this is true, then, like, that's not a good sign, because it means, like, even with the feedback, even with trying to go and course correct their projects, they might still be missing. And that would not be a very good sign.
Yeah, it would be very unfortunate. I just always think back. I haven't watched it yet, but I just think back to what Charlie had mentioned a couple episodes ago about that joke in The Boys where they're like, after all these reshoots and reshoots and reshoots, we're officially the most expensive movie. And oh man, it just pains me, man. I really hope that things can start turning around. Even just news-wise, like, this is how it starts, especially with, like, Joker, which we talked about last episode. Those, like, first couple of reactions where it was like, oh, this might be ass, and then it just started to snowpile. or Snowball after that, and it was like, yeah, this is terrible. But just even having that word of mouth start off like that, we are catching it in the early stages, and let's hope that it's, even if it's just like, oh, this movie is going to be very divisive amongst fans. Some people are going to love it. Some people, I'll even take that. I will even take that. So, on the flip side, we have some more MCU early reactions. Again, from My Time to Shine. Hello. Another member of the pod basically today. I hear good things about Daredevil Born Again. It really was a mess before, she says. Which, we've seen the leaks. We've seen the pre-purge of the show, I guess you can call it. We've seen all of that stuff and what it could have been. And so I'm very happy to hear that it's looking promising again. Because I was scared for a second there. You just can't have a Daredevil show without Karen and Foggy. So, one, what the fuck were they thinking doing that? So, it doesn't surprise me, but it is good to hear that it is performing well. Because, Charlie, you say 4 months away. I raise you 5 months away with Daredevil Born Again. So, we're looking...
It's going to be crazy.
Things are looking good. Things are looking good.
It's going to be so crazy. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can do a Daredevil show without Foggy and Karen. When I heard that initial leak, that I was so pissed. And I think we talked about this when the trailer leaked from Comic-Con or D23, whichever one. We've only seen one scene that Karen and Foggy are in. Both we've seen behind the scenes pictures of them actually filming the scene, and then that's the same scene that they put in the trailer. And maybe that was intentional on their part. They know that scene leaked and they wanted to only show that scene. But I'm also thinking, like, you know, maybe they only filmed one other scene inside and that was Karen and Foggy dying, you know? Like, I still have kind of an idea that they're sticking to that. And I swear I'm going to hate that so much. But that trailer that we watched was fantastic. I know we keep saying fantastic trailers, but holy cow, bro, that one was off the wall.
I can't wait for that to drop officially, bro. Like, oh my, even though I've already seen it, I'm gonna make a reaction video and I'm gonna be just as hyped. Like, that's how good it was.
Because it's not like the Thunderbolts. Like the Thunderbolts one, we already watched that. Like that one, at least I watched it when it leaked, and like when the HD version came out, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even watch it again. Because like I didn't think there was anything like I needed to see that I didn't get a good enough look at from before. But like that one, that one I need to see in all its HD glory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear this. I mean, Brave New World and Daredevil have great trailers, so to hear at least one of them is going to be good. If I'm going to be honest, if I could only pick one of them to be good, I would go with Daredevil personally. You know, that's because I'm a big Daredevil guy.
Spit, Ben, spit.
I'm just being truthful. If I could only pick one, it's got to be that. It has to be that. Because like, I'm sorry, but Falcon had his chance with his own show. We all know how that went, and so like giving him another movie. But Daredevil, like coming into the MCU for the first time, having the characters return and whatnot.
I just want to correct you. It's Captain America. It's Captain America. Yeah. It's Captain America.
I mean, Falcon. You know, like semantics, but like whatever.
It's Captain America, though.
But yeah,
different person.
With Daredevil, yeah, I'm happy to hear this, and of course with both of these, it's like it's obviously early and early reactions. While, you know, if they are true, then like that's genuinely what people felt. There is still time, and who knows what they can do in the next 4 or 5 months with some of these. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely looking forward to. I mean, man, February to April is gonna be like so packed. I know we talked about having like Daredevil and Last of Us, and now Invincible as well, which I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but like,
yeah, dude.
Just that's gonna be the start of the year is gonna be so packed, and like I'm very excited. Show wise, like I mean movie wise too, but next year's just gonna be crazy.
Supposed to be playing Ghost of Yotai. So it's fine. You guys can have the pod, actually.
Anyways,
I suppose Aiden's gonna have to actually watch Invincible season 2 though, before season 3 starts coming out though, you know. So
ooh, yeah, we'll see.
He has time though, you know.
also
Lots of
might have to
time.
watch
I
Gen
do.
V because Gen V season 2 is coming out next year.
Well, I will have time if I catch up. I'm about 120 episodes away from catching up, and then I'll have no more no more One Piece to watch. So, at least until April.
Finally.
So,
Finally.
and then it'll be y'all's turn. All right, on to our next piece of news: a Wild Robot sequel. Which Charles, this one comes from our good buddy Brandon, correcting you in our comments. Brandon, shout out to you, man. Much love. Says
Thank you
that
for showing me the light, Brandon. That saved my life. You know? Saved my life hearing that news.
there will be a Wild Robot sequel. Apparently, there were books. I had no idea.
Me either.
Another thing that we had talked about, just me and him. He said that the reason why it was paced so weird is because I think he said they adapted the first and the first half of the second book. So whenever Bright Bill was migrating, that was supposed to be the end of the first book, and then they took it into the beginning of the second book, I think. And he'll probably comment again to correct me. Yeah, he'll probably comment again to correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I think the first book ended with the migrating, and so that's why it was kind of weird. And I think... No, I don't even want to say that just in case I'm wrong. Actually, maybe I will say it just so he can comment, and then it pushes the video out some more. I think maybe he even said there wasn't a big action sequence in the book, and that was like kind of a movie thing that they decided to do. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. After this uploads, we will see if I'm corrected in the comments. But regardless, we will get the second book adapted into the next film, which is freaking awesome. We get to see this universe live on, so I'm all for that. I cannot freaking wait.
I'm excited, and I typically don't feel this way about projects, but like me personally, I think this one is like it's very much going to be not as good as the first one. I think I'm looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong. Like this universe, I'm going to love. I'm sure I'm going to love it, but especially because I said I wanted more backstory on like why the world is the way that it is in this universe. So I'm excited to get more of that, but I don't see it happening. I would love to be proven wrong, but I don't see the following film and potentially following films, plural, living up to this one in my mind. But yeah.
Yeah, if it's one of those movies where, like you said, Charlie, you said like you don't see them making a sequel to it. It's like if you already think that watching this film, then I understand why you would already think like it's not going to be as good as the original. And you know, obviously I don't know where the story goes either, but I'm kind of in that same boat of like they made 3 books of this, so if there's more story to tell, then that's great. But I also I did feel completely satisfied with where we left off. So I don't know, maybe they'll find something surprising. Because I mean, I think that's the case with plenty of stories before, where you get like the first film or the first part of a story, and you could just be happy with that, and you don't really know what the sequel will bring that will actually like elevate the characters and where we were at. And sometimes it does. So I'm kind of in the same boat. Open mind, didn't need more, but will happily sit down and accept whatever they give us.
Yes, sir.
Yep, couldn't agree more. On to our next piece of news. we got Invincible season 3, a nice little teaser, a nice release date, and no mid-season break, which I know at least for me was a huge reason why I didn't finish it. Because I actually did sit down and I watched the first 4 episodes, I think it was, and I was having a blast, and then I was just like, all right, now I just have to wait, and I just never got back around to it. I know they faced a lot of criticism for that. So this time around, we are not getting that. I enjoyed the teaser, even though I haven't finished the second season. It did leak the day before, though, which was interesting. Something else had leaked. I guess, it was like the confirmation of season 3, the date, and no mid-season break. So looks like they just turned around and dropped it all. So coming from someone that hasn't finished the second season, I will pass it off to the 2 that have.
Yeah, I think you guys remember I went on like a very angry rant in the group chat when they went on this mid-season hiatus, just because like it made no sense. Still doesn't to this day. But I'm glad they learned from their mistakes and are not continuing with that this season. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I wonder if, because I saw today the official Twitter account for Invincible, somebody replied to the tweet of them announcing it with the actual like teaser video, and somebody replied and said the leak made them drop this early. And then the Invincible account replied and said, or was this always the plan, with that little Shrek, like looking up like devious Shrek meme or whatever. And that was one I'm wondering too. I wonder if they actually just dropped it because it leaked the day before. And that's so like dude, I'm gonna blame Aiden for this one, because Aiden sent it to me. See, he sent it in the Discord, and I was like, oh, you know what? I bet it's gonna drop sometime soon. I'll just wait to watch it in an HD. But then Aiden sent it to me on TikTok, and I was like, now I only have to just click on it like once. I don't have to wait for it to load up on Discord. And I'm like, whatever, I'll do it. And I watched the little stupid version, and so now when the fresh version came out, I was like, I don't need to watch this. But it's just a little teaser. It doesn't matter at the end of the day anyway. But
I don't think I personally sent it to you. I think it said that I think it's sent to you because I had sent it through Discord. Because I had looked at it because you had replied, and I was like, what is he talking about?
That doesn't make sense, bro.
It said
that doesn't make sense.
At the top it said,
I'm not gonna lie.
At the top it says you shared this post. But on all the other TikToks I sent you, it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that. Okay.
So that's why I was like, it says you shared this post. And so that's why when you replied, I was like, what is he replying on TikTok for? And then I looked, I was like, oh, it's sent to him on TikTok. And so I was like,
that's
right.
weird.
Yeah.
That's really strange. Yeah. February 6th, I'm excited. As Ben mentioned, the first 4 months, half of 2025, really all of 2025, but yeah, especially the first half or so is jam-packed. And February seems like one of those uber-packed months with starting with Invincible, it seems like now. And then the week after that is going to be, or maybe not the week after, but Brave New World comes out, and then I'm sure Last of Us is going to be somewhere in there. And shortly after that, beginning of March, is Ryan Coogler's new vampire movie with Michael B. Jordan and everything. Man, oh man. Like, we are looking forward to a ton. But I am excited for this specifically because everybody that has read the Invincible comics is saying that, like, season 3 is where, like, it actually, like, fully starts. And it's crazy to say that, I think, in my mind, because we've gotten a lot already, you know? Like, season 1 was really, really good. I think season 2 was still good. Not as good, but it was still really good as well. And so I'm excited to see how this really begins. I think I have a little bit of a spoiler for it. I'm not going to say it, but I think I have a little bit of a spoiler for what's to come ahead. I'm trying not to read the comics because I want to just witness it all for the first time. And so everybody says season 3 is where like things alter and change. Seasons 3 and 4 are like the big things. So I'm excited. Also, before I hand it over to Ben, actually, I am worried though that this is great. We got season 2 and season 3 in the span of like less than a year. The end of season 2 to the beginning of season 3, less than a year. Great, much better than between season 1 and season 2. But now I'm worried that I can't remember if they officially greenlit more seasons or if that was just like a leak that they greenlit them. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I know we're getting more seasons 100%. But now I'm worried that the same thing's going to happen now because they shot or didn't shoot, but they recorded and animated in seasons 2 and 3 together. And so I'm worried that now that they hammered both of those out, that we're going to be on a long hiatus after season 3 is over again for like another 2 or 3 years. But yeah, hope that's not the case.
Yeah, that's honestly like a big thing for me with the mid-season break for season 2 is like, how is it at the point where we needed to break up season 2 into 2 different parts, but then we already have the full 3rd season ready to go, like, you know, a year later?
Yeah.
I don't really get that. I don't know if they, you know, hired on a bigger team of animators to work on the project or something like that. If that was the case, still, why did season 2 take so dang long when, I mean, at least from like a visual and technical standpoint, season 2 is very comparable to season 1. It's not like it, you know, pushes anything too much further. There's little differences, but nothing too crazy to write home about. But that's one of the things that I thought with this announcement. The first thing I saw was the leak of like the release date and that there would be no mid-season break, and I saw February. And my first instinct was like, this isn't a real leak. This is not a real leak. We are not getting the full Invincible season this February. It didn't seem real. Like, that's the precedent that they had set with the mid-season break of season 2 and how long things were going to take. February seems incredibly soon. And to just say like, oh yeah, we're getting all of season 3, I was like, no, it's not happening. And then like they announced it, I'm like, okay. So I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I love season 1, and moments of season 2 were really good, especially towards the middle. I think there was some great stuff there. I know we haven't really talked about it much, but great moments, just not amazing overall when you compare it to the first season. But I am looking forward to seeing where they take it. And yeah, I hope, kind of like what you said, Charlie, I just hope that this doesn't mean that we're going to then need like a 2-3 year break before the next season comes out. Because if that's the case, like, they could have just delayed this like a year. And I don't think anyone would have like freaked out if Invincible was announced in 2025 and came out in 2026 for season 3. I don't think anyone would be like freaking out about that. Instead, we're all like, oh, this is fast. And then if they, you know, then pull back too much, that's when it will be like they're just going too far and, you know, not striking a good balance. So I am excited to see where they go, but also just the fact that we're already getting it.
Yeah, also from an animation perspective, because Lord knows this show does not have a great track record of that with the fans. I mean, I see it on every single Invincible post. So, you know, I want it as fast as possible. I don't want the animation to suffer because of it. I also don't want to wait too long. I don't want mid-season breaks. Just find your groove and, you know, let's start there. All right, on
That's
to... go for it. Say, hold
Sorry,
on. Man, I'm hosting today, man. Get out of here. No.
That's actually a good point with the animation. I wanted to bring up as well. It's certainly an interesting choice to me, I think, anyway, that for the teasers specifically, now for both season 2 and season 3, they do this style of animation where it's a lot more expressive, I would say. And I know it's a lot easier to animate a teaser than it is an entire season, do not get me wrong, but I wonder what the choice is there. Like, why not just make this teaser the same way that you make the show? But then instead you're doing these teasers and glowing it all up, for lack of a better term. And then just to do your same old for the season. So it's a strange choice to me that I guess I just don't fully understand. I don't hate it though. Like, obviously it's cool to get when we get it, but just weird in my mind.
Well, we got a Steven Yeun cameo out of it, so I'm all good over here. I'm all good on this side. On to our next piece of news. We have Superman and a nice official photo. And if you're watching on YouTube, welcome in a little peek into our Discord. But this is the official photo that James Gunn had dropped. I believe it was yesterday, day before.
Been out a couple days, I think.
Of Superman and what's his name, Crypto. I'm not a big Superman guy.
Dog. Put some.
I'm not a big DC or Superman guy, buddy. So you got the wrong one.
Crypto, the super dog.
I love this picture. I think it's great. I think it, in a way, it kind of. I can see it kind of embodying what James Gunn is going for with this iteration of Superman. Seeing Superman look at Earth as, like, you know, something that he wants to protect and something he wants to love. And we have so much color, man. So much freaking color. And it's so good. Like, it's sad how low the bar has been set by Mr. Snyder. But we got color. It's popping. It's vibrant. Superman has Crypto with him. I think it's gorgeous. But Charlie, I know you had a couple of words you wanted to say. So why don't we hear from you? Why don't we hear you tear this down, buddy?
Oh, whoa. I didn't, hold on, man. Sure. I guess I'll just run through what my thoughts were, like, in live in real time when I was first looking at it. For a little bit of context, I've only ever known Crypto to look like he does in, like, the Super Pets movie and just like a bigger dog in general. So when I saw little Shaggy Waggy over there, I was like, oh, well, that's certainly something. But you know, different takes. I wasn't mad at it inherently just because of that. I was like, I've never seen Crypto like that. And since then, I have seen many people on Twitter pulling up different comic panels of Crypto looking like that more Shaggy Waggy looking dog right there. But in the picture as a whole, I think it's a great picture. Like Aiden said, I think it embodies perfectly what this Superman is and what James Gunn is going for. I love the idea of it. As a picture itself, I don't think it's like, I don't mean to be, like, nitpicky, but, like, people are, like, putting it as their background and stuff on their phone. I don't know, it doesn't look like that great to me. Like, Earth itself just looks kind of fakey, and it looks like there's a really, like, if you look at the lines around David Cornsweat's shoulders and stuff, it looks very green screeny to me. Not trying to say that that's any inclination of what the movie's gonna look like. I'm specifically just talking about this image. This image, like, it just looks a little bit too fakey to me. Like, they're definitely sitting on a prop that is trying to look like the moon, but definitely is not the surface of the moon. And I don't know. That's just my nitpicky. Like, this is my CinemaSins part of me coming out again. It's just I don't love it. The actual, like, quality of the image as much as everybody else does. But when James posted this, he posted a little, like, mini paragraph about the inspiration behind Crypto in this movie, and I fell in love with that. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the episode. I was going to call back to fresh blood getting in there and putting new ideas forth, because this is what we can get from it. Like the fact that James is writing Crypto based off of his real life dog that he adopted, I think over the summer he said, or something like that. Or no, he said when he first started writing Superman. That's perfect. Like, that is amazing to me, I think. Like, that's what I want to see with fresh new ideas coming in. Someone like James Gunn coming in, writing this new Superman the way that he envisions the character and envisions the people around him, making it more personal and making it different because it's personal. And that is why I have been such a pioneer, I guess you could say, for like not having the same writers from Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, you know? So I don't know. This is fantastic. Not to harken back to the Spider-Man news. This is fantastic news to me. I'm excited to see it. I feel like a lot of people, we're just getting back into complain town. We've complained with everything so far. Every casting in the DCU has been complained about. Now we're complaining about the casting of a dog. And last week we were complaining about Jon Stewart. And it's just, it seemingly never ends. But I am still immensely excited for what this universe can bring.
I mean, I can agree with the critiques of like the specific image. I like that we're getting it just as like a little tease and with some of the backstory and whatnot. And I think all of it just points to James Gunn, and anyone who had doubts about him creating this universe. Obviously, you know, there's still plenty of time until we actually start to get films and series and whatnot. But for anyone who did have doubts, like, just look at the care that this man puts into everything. And just also, like, you can see that reflected in all of his past projects. Because even outside of just the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, you have the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Like, the man knows how, specifically, I would say, just, like, to really dive deep into characters. Like, he is so good at that. So I don't know, the people just like automatically critiquing this. I saw somebody say like, oh boy, James Gunn is gonna make this childish by introducing another CGI animal into the mix. And then like all the replies were just like clips from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and just like all the stuff where it's like, no, actually I would argue that James Gunn is one of the people who knows how to write in CGI animals, not just for, you know, a fun lightheartedness, which there's an aspect of that with all of them. Even with like King Shark and the Suicide Squad, just having like a really fun personality and sometimes having like funny moments throughout the film. I feel like he's always had that, but like knowing how to strike a balance there is something that I think a lot of people give him credit for. But like anybody who's trashing on that specifically, I don't understand where that's even coming from. You just look at his track record and like he knows what he's doing. So from that perspective, like people immediately jumping on it and hating it, I don't get. People jumping on it and, you know, changing their phone background, I also don't necessarily get that. But I am very excited as we get closer to the start of this universe. I remember, you know, 2.5 years ago, year and a half ago, whatever it was, when we first got like the full slate of DC movies announced for the new universe, there was definitely like, I mean, it's crazy to think that this is starting, I mean, kind of, but basically starting a new superhero franchise, because we've gotten so used to just like, you know, the big dogs nowadays and then whatever Sony has going on, but it's kind of besides the point. So the fact that this is going to be a big franchise and it's just now about to start in this era of superhero movies just almost seems like unreal that we get to witness the foundation of a new superhero universe. So I'm really excited for it from that perspective. And I mean, I just hark back to this. I have full faith in James Gunn, so I'm excited.
Very much full faith in James Gunn. All right, that takes us to our next piece of media, and that is Agatha episode 5, I believe. I've been starting us off. I don't have too many thoughts on this, so I'll pass it off to whoever wants to take over right now on Agatha
Benji should go
episode 5.
first. I know he was just yapping, but I want Benji to start this one.
I'm fine going first. Agatha episode 5. So I feel like I've been saying a lot of the same things for the last couple of weeks. So I won't spend too much time on this. A majority of this episode to me felt the same as especially like the last 2 before it, where you spend the first 5 to 10 minutes with some sort of opening scene that's a continuation of what was happening immediately before that, and then at like the 10-ish minute mark we get to our trial, and obviously we work through that. Similar to last week, I do think that they are doing a better job of giving us character moments to actually like invest in and care about. And obviously they very specifically focused in, I would say, on Agatha, at least when it comes to the trial for this episode. And so I feel very similar to last week, where it's like the pacing of the episode feels very similar, and it's still giving me like little bits and pieces more of what I have been wanting from the show, with like the characters and the depth and whatnot, but still not to the extent that I wish that they would, and still not to the extent that I think that they really could do if they kind of refocus the show and fix what I think is a pacing issue with the episodes, with like how it moves from what seems like a lot of useless things, and then how much time they spend on the trial. Just, I don't feel like their balance of how much time they spend on things is to the benefit, and just it could be done better. And I mean, I felt that way about all like the last couple of episodes, so very similar in that regard. I would say I'm more invested as time goes on, and so I'm liking it on a weekly basis. It's just not pulling me in like I wish it would. And then, without getting into spoilers, obviously the big thing with this episode is everything post trial, which I'll just hark back to kind of what we've been saying so far, which is
Witches?
I was
also
thinking
said
the
hark
same
back.
thing.
Did you catch that? I said hark back.
I did not catch that one. I should.
Which is just, when it comes to Teen's character, I'll just say Teen's character for now. We've gotten to that breaking point. We've gotten there. It's on the loose. It was, they immediately started releasing clips and whatnot with the big reveal, whatever. And I feel exactly how I thought I would feel, which is like, okay, we're here, but like, what did we do to get to this point? Why do I care at this point? What use has this character served that makes this reveal anything crazy at all? So it's what I expected, which is like, it doesn't really do much for me because I knew it was coming, and nothing that they did with the setup or the actual reveal does anything interesting in my opinion. So I would say I'm still like basically in the same boat, a little bit more invested, and I don't hate watching it on a weekly basis. I generally enjoyed, especially the last couple of weeks of episodes. It just feels like a lot of wasted potential, and just not a great direction that they've decided to take things. And I know that we kind of said it, like basically every time we've talked about it, we've said like, maybe in the coming episodes they can hone in and give us more details on the characters and whatnot. And really cook here. I think at this point in the show, I've kind of, I don't want to say I've given up hope on like what they can do, but we've gotten over half the show. So we kind of know what to expect from it at this point. And from that perspective, I don't think that the show can elevate itself too much more with the last few weeks. But yeah, I don't know. I would say I'm very mixed, more on board than I was with like the first 2 episodes. I can definitely say that, but not to the extent that I wish I was.
Yeah, I feel like the end of the episode really is what's really bringing me in terms of like, okay, cool, things have changed big time. How do these last couple of episodes pan out? And that's what I'm excited for. I same as what you said, Ben. I just shared the same critiques that I've shared all season, where it's just like, it feels like every episode is kind of standalone in a way, where it's just like, here's this task we're doing for 20-ish minutes, and then here's the big thing at the end of the episode. All right, that's the end. And it just feels like that's kind of been the same thing the past 3 weeks. You play around with these ideas and concepts of these trials and new location, new wardrobe, which it's all phenomenal. Like the people that are putting in work on these sets and on these costumes, I mean, it's awesome. And like I can't like knock it for that at all. But more so like storytelling and pacing wise, again, it's just, here's this situation and area that we're in for 20 minutes. Okay, now we're out. Let's move on to this next thing to kind of end the episode off, and then boom, next week. And I guess I just kind of went into the show not really expecting that to be the case. And anytime I watch a movie, I have a big problem sometimes. If it's done right, like movies like Bullet Train and Snowpiercer, Knock at the Cabin, movies that all take place in one setting. And that's it. Just one setting the entire time. If it's done right, I can find a way to love it and appreciate it. But most of the time, it's just not my cup of tea at all. And it kind of feels like this is what the whole show's kind of been. Like, yeah, we're going down this witch's road, but like we're just going one step at a time each week. Like, all right, now we're on the next one. All right, I'm so excited to see what next week brings. Like, nope, we're just on the next step of the road. And I don't know, I guess I just wasn't expecting that going into this show. And it's not to say I don't like it. It's not to say I'm not intrigued. Like I said, the way we end off this episode, I thought was really cool. And I'm definitely, my interest is piqued as to where we go from here on out, because it's like, what the heck? It just feels like every week it's like, all right, let me strap in for what's probably going to be a repeat of next week's formula. So I don't know. I'm just so indifferent on this show at this point. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's got me in week to week. But again, if we weren't doing the podcast, I'd probably just wait and binge it, and I know that's what a lot of other people have been saying. I say a lot of other people. I've been talking to Brandon about it, and he's like, yeah, we're probably just going to wait and binge it. And then I talk to him about Penguin, and I talk to him about, oh my God, these first 3 episodes have been amazing. And he's like, yeah, we'll probably start it here soon now that this is over, or now that we're not watching this, we'll probably start it here soon. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing for a lot of other people, where it's like, probably just wait and binge it, So, I don't know. I'm just very indifferent on the show at this point. And so, it's another reason why I'm glad we're not just covering one episode at a time for one episode of the podcast. Because then I don't have to feel shitty for not having more to say. But I just genuinely don't have a ton to say, a ton of input or thoughts on it. But like I said, I feel like we ended off in a great way. And what I saw for this week's episode, holy shit, man. Now I really don't know what the fuck we're doing or where we're going, but holy shit, am I on board. So, I don't know. I guess...
Context,
What?
he saw a spoiler right before we went out. For our listeners, he saw a spoiler for tonight's episode. So.
And yeah, I definitely don't know where we go from here on out, but I'm very excited to see. I'm just upset that it kind of took this long, and I'm upset at how formulaic it was. And I feel like I say this every week, but it's like, all right, after seeing what happens in this episode, I'm very excited to see. And I'm very, very excited for tonight's episode, especially based off what I've seen. I just hope I don't come back next week and be like, all right, don't have much to say about it, but I'm very excited for next week's episode, so... Yeah, I'm just very indifferent on it, and I agree with a lot of your complaints and criticisms.
Yeah, man. It was an episode. I enjoyed getting a little bit more about Agatha, why the Salem 7 are coming after her. Did think it was a little weird. I mean, they explained it. They explained that the Salem 7... I'm just going to spoil it since you guys already went into your thoughts and whatnot. They explained that the Salem 7 snuck in with the same route that they summoned Aubrey Plaza's character through with. And then we got a little scene of them riding brooms. Just like Harry Potter. Yippee. And then, yeah, the trial, I guess I struggled to see what purpose it served. Like, wanted to punish Agatha. That's what the spirits or something were saying. But they're able to get out of the trial after Alice is killed. So how does... I was just super confused by the whole thing, I guess, and it still doesn't make much sense to me. I did see a little thing that was like, that's kind of cool. The one older witch lady, her outbursts the past couple episodes, if you like watch them back in a certain order or something, she says, and you clip them there, it's like, she says, Alice, don't try to save Agatha or something like that. And so like that's just a cool nifty thing. It's not nothing grand. And then getting to see a little bit more about Agatha's mom and maybe how she wasn't very loved as a child. That was a little nice for me. Obviously, I like I'm big on characters and growth and whatnot. Not growth. That's not necessarily growth, but just more info on a character. And I don't know. It was so short for me, the whole episode. I was just like, I don't know, that was a complaint this week too, how short it was, but like they did that trial in like what felt like 2 minutes, and then they're outside and all of a sudden Agatha says, you're just like your mother. What? How do you know this information all of a sudden? Like, I'm sure that will probably come to light maybe this episode, at least I hope it does, because like otherwise it makes no sense. You thought an episode ago, you thought he was your kid. You were hopeful that he was your kid. And then as soon as you find out he's not, he's like, oh, then he's Wanda's. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't...
Spoilers!
No, it's not. No. They posted the poster and everything. You should see me in a crown. What a beat drop, man. What a beat drop. It was cool to see Wiccan, to see his powers come to fruition a little bit. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. Like, it wasn't great for me. I don't think, like, for an episode like that to finally make the big reveal that you guys have been hinting the entire season so far. I don't think that lived up. I don't know. It's cool. It's cool, but I don't know.
I saw another thing I was gonna send was My Time to Shine. Hello again. Somebody had posted Teen is always the one finding the clues. This is getting suspicious. And she quote tweeted it and said, huh, it's almost like it's by design. And I saw a lot of people commenting being like, are we in a hex right now? Or, speculating things about that and things about Wiccan being the one to always find the clues. And after today's episode, it'll be interesting to see if he plays it would just be interesting to see what type of role he plays in these next couple of episodes. But I don't know. I was a fan of the beat drop. I saw a lot of people criticizing it at the end of the episode, which I was like, it's I could do with or without it.
It just kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't dislike it. It just came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. We're getting the full headshot of the crown coming in, and then all of a sudden there was no build up music to it. It just popped in. Billie Eilish, you should see me in the crown. I was like, whoa, what's happening here? But
yeah, I mean, to seemingly kill off all the witches and just have him standing in episode 5. Pretty ballsy, so I don't know. That's why I say I'm so intrigued to see where we go from here, but I feel like I was sitting here saying the same thing last week. What?
Kill off all the witch, bro. They're not dead, bro. Come on.
Well, dog. Obviously, but
Agatha is dead, bro.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where we go from here, because I cannot think of a single scenario that would make sense, me personally. So, beats me. All right, are we ready to move into our final piece of media we're talking about tonight?
Yes, please.
And that is Penguin episode 4, I believe.
Yeah, 4.
Holy fuck, man. This show fucks so hard, dude. This show fucks so hard. Absolute cinema week to week. If you're not watching Penguin, what are you doing, man? Some of the best character work going on television right now. Some of the best storytelling. Episode 4, I believe, was an absolute slapper. And I got to pull up my notes here to get ready for this discussion, because, yeah, I think it was by far the greatest episode in the series. It's crazy that this show is even... I mean, it's just crazy what this show is doing. Just seemingly coming out of nowhere and just taking the internet by storm, taking the comic book media community on Twitter by storm. One of the highest rated episodes of any TV show of all time is absolutely insane. This is one of the hottest starts to a comic book show in a long time. Like, I think back to maybe Invincible episode 1. Obviously, The Boys season 2. Because season 1, it was still kind of overlooked. Like, no one really knew what it was. But then season 2 kind of had, like, all the hype to it. Their big budget season. But, I mean, holy shit, those are 2 examples from years ago. Like, the run that this show has been on has been phenomenal. I guess we'll just keep going. I don't know if we're getting into spoilers. We'll just give our basic thoughts. But I absolutely loved it. I thought it was my favorite episode so far. I thought the character work that they do on Sophia is just a second to none. And I feel like they chose a perfect spot in the show to do this. They chose a perfect episode to do this with, because a lot of other shows, you throw a backstory in the middle of the season or something, like, it could be a risky move. It could be looked at as filler. It could be looked at as, trying to hit your episode count for the season. But when it's done right, and when it's done as beautifully as it was done here, and when it pertains as much to the story as it pertains to the story here, I mean, I just look at this character now in such a different light, and just seeing just getting this, and then going back to episode 3 and being like, man, Oz, bro, fuck you, dude. Like, you are a fucking scumbag. It's just so cool that that flashback served that much of a purpose, and that they were able to do that for an hour of television, and you just sat there, endured all of it, and came out the other end being like, that was fucking phenomenal. Highest rated IMDb rating of a TV episode of all time. I just think it's so cool. And I just think everything they did in this was phenomenal. And, you know, it just, from the sprinkles of last episode with Vic and his backstory, sprinkling that around a little bit, turning around and doing Sophia's, like getting back into this episode with Oz being that character that connects the two. The second he comes on screen on Sunday when I turn the episode on, I mean, it's going to be like, ooh, like, you know, it's not going to be the same feeling I had the first 3 episodes. It's not going to be the same look I've been giving him. And I think that's just so awesome. And I've even seen that, I think Colin Farrell said that I'd be surprised if anyone likes him at all by the end of episode 8. Buddy, strap me the fuck in, man. I am here. Strap me in. I'm having an absolute blast with this show. I think it's on a generational run right now. And I guess after saying that, I should bring up that promotional picture that's been going around of Vic with the Slurpee in his hand or whatever, and then the shadow behind him with Oz holding a crowbar. I mean, man, I don't know. I've seen a lot of comparisons to The Sopranos. I guess I haven't watched The Sopranos, but I guess they've done something similar to where someone comes in under the wing and then unfortunately has to get killed off by the person that brought them under their wing at the end of the season. And if we see Oz turn around and kill Vic, oh man. Like, could you imagine? Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Somebody take the floor on Penguin episode 4.
I'll go ahead.
Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
Hey, it's fine with me. What an episode. I mean, it's crazy that in a show like this, which already was phenomenal, a show based around, like, you know, somebody who's maybe not even like a top 10 arguably Batman villain, that's just a spin-off series based on this character. The fact that we already had the show where it was at is insane. But then using this pinnacle moment in episode 3, at the end of episode 3, to then focus an entire episode on this other character, not our main character. I mean, you know, one of our main characters, but still, to have it completely focus on that, and to the extent that it does, and to just be the fact that it is arguably, or maybe not even arguably, I think most people would agree, for this to be the best episode in the series so far, that just is a testament to how well they are putting this show together, which we've already given it flowers for, just like people not knowing what to expect from a Penguin spin-off show and how impressed we were. But the fact that even these other characters that they've introduced and brought into the mix, that they can be at the forefront and we still are elevating the quality and the care and the writing and whatnot, it just shows how much they put into this. This episode was phenomenal. It gave me the exact answer that I wanted from the question of the end of episode 3, which was, Oz just
Why
talked
did he
about,
leave her?
yeah, regaining trust. Why did he leave her? To immediately start off the scene start off the episode right in that scene, I was like,
I thought of you when I was watching it too. I was like, damn, that was Ben's question.
This is perfect. Like, this is so good. And to see how that unfolds just is phenomenal. And I love that we see it from her perspective, because then obviously the episode focuses so much on her, which is just a great way to transition. And then, my gosh, just the rest of the episode, all of the backstory, just the horrific events that she went through psychologically, even like physically, and then fully diving into just the insanity of Arkham and all that has to offer. Like, just I'm surprised because I don't think anybody expected them to dedicate this much time into this backstory, you know, a full hour episode. And so the extent that we got to see that was more than I would have ever expected as well. But like that's a compliment because I feel like it just gave us so much for her character. And something that I'll say is like, I don't think this is like a spoiler, but above all else, what I took away from this episode that I think is great is like we had the Penguin and her with their alliance that they were, you know, starting to build throughout the show and whatnot. And now with where she ends up at the end of this episode, it feels like her and Penguin are both kind of on their own journey of trying to like prove themselves and become more important, have their stake in the game and whatnot. And they're both furthering it. And it used to be that they were furthering that together. And now they're furthering it, but at opposition. And so I feel like what this episode will do to our story and ultimately to the character of Penguin, I can't wait to see how this affects things as they continue to build out the story and as the tensions continue to rise. It's like they already, you know, had lots of intense moments and dynamics and situations in the first 3 episodes between characters and whatnot. And to have this big of a shift with one of our characters and all of this backstory and whatnot, they're really swinging for the fences is what it seems like to me. And I'm still here for the ride. I have to say, like, this show is a huge surprise for me. And I know we've said that before, but I feel like week after week, it just continues to push that even further and further. I was talking to John, and they don't have Max, so he hasn't seen anything from it. And I've texted him a couple of times, and I texted him after I watched this most recent episode. I was like, you got to watch The Penguin. You have to watch The Penguin. He said, well, I don't have Max, so like I'll have to figure that out, and I'll just like binge it sometime. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is not. I mean, like Aiden just said, this is not a show that you're just like, oh, you know, I'm done with these other things, so I'll catch up on Penguin. It's like, no, if I could pick something to be actively watching on a weekly basis, I'm choosing Penguin easily. Yeah. It's so good. I'll stop ranting. I know I'm just yapping at this point, and, just praising the show, but I think it deserves it. Phenomenal episode.
Yeah. The highest rated, whatever Aiden said, not the highest, one of the highest rated episodes of television on IMDb, and I didn't like it. I'm not joking.
You
I did not like it.
Fucker.
I'm not joking. I wish I were joking. I'm not joking.
Oh, where's the joke, Charlie?
I promise. I wish I was.
God.
I'm not joking.
Oh, Charlie, you suck.
I wish I saw what everybody else saw, dude. Like, oh my God. I was listening to you. The idea of pulling away from probably the most like pivotal moment in the show, I think, to then cover her entire backstory, which I would argue, me personally, we got the cliff notes for. Like, she was sent to Arkham by her father. I don't necessarily need to know why she was sent to Arkham by her father. She was sent to Arkham. Arkham's a fucked up place. And she got fucked up because of it. Like, obviously there's intricacies there, and we saw those intricacies in this episode, but like, I struggle to find the difference in this Arkham versus like the Arkham we just saw in Joker 2. Like, what's the differentiator there, and why I need it? Obviously, let me actually preface this as well. We do need to see Arkham, like, in a separate universe, we do need to see Arkham and how it operates in some capacity. I'm not complaining that we saw Arkham here. It's just to have the majority of the episode be pulled away from the grander story annoyed me. And then when we finally got to the present tense of the universe, I was back in. I was hooked back in. The tension building when she went and saw the family, fantastic. And also, let me preface, Kristen
Milioti.
She's fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, I've already said this off of her performance in Palm Springs in that movie, and as well as the Penguin. She's even more fantastic in this episode. Do not get me wrong. I love her. And I love good character work, and I know that this seems antithetical to what I'm always about, sure, but like, this doesn't do anything to help me like justify her actions. She shot a kid in the first episode because like, I don't know, because Penguin just he tried to rob the Penguin, and so I'm supposed to feel like, oh, okay, I understand why she did that, because she got beat the shit out of in Arkham. No, I'm sorry, no, that's not. I don't see the purpose in it. I don't think that there was a need to follow her throughout her time in Arkham. I can imagine that she was tortured in Arkham. I can imagine that. She tells us how bad of a place it is, and I also don't think that like it's any like I would say like shooting the kid in the head, just a kid that wasn't doing anything too wrong, is worse than what probably happened to her in Arkham. I would say, apart from like the brain zappies, whatever you call that, the lobotomy. That's not a lobotomy, but whatever. The having to fight the one girl that was trying to fight her for whatever reason. Like, dude, okay, like this is all just. I did not need any of this. I felt like it just detracted from where we were. I loved the beginning. I loved watching Penguin be the weasel that he is, because right after to think about the conversation they were having before that, and how he's like, I didn't do it like intentionally for you. Like I just did what I needed to do to move up in the world. A guy like me getting a job like I got, and to pour his heart out to her, and then for him to weasel his way right in front of her to try to save his own ass with the Maroney woman. Amazing. I thought that was perfect. I was like, oh, we're getting into the great stuff here. And then we wake up in Arkham, and and you lost me. But then again, when we got back to the family, the tension was building great. I thought it was perfect, everything that she did to the family, showing that she still has a heart. Had like walked the kid out to the greenhouse, spent the night with the kid. And then I also thought it ended in a weird place, like just, hey Vidi, put your pants on, and then the episode ended. Like that's a minor critique though. It doesn't really matter. It just seemed sort of abrupt to me. Maybe it was because I was hoping for more after having such a snooze fest in the middle of the episode. But golly, man. Oh my goodness, man. Best episode so far? Like, nah, man. I'm sorry, but no.
I was waiting for the joke.
You're smoking some grade A crack, brother. You don't get these moments that you're praising so high. You don't get that shit without shit like this. Without building a backstory like this with the character of Sophia. Because going on...
The thing I'm praising about her with the family, you don't get that unless we get to watch her in Arkham?
No! You don't!
Why is that?
Because her walking in and facing that family that threw her in Arkham, put her through all of that shit, that payoff does not hit the same if you don't get to see the strings that Carmine pulled and the leaps and bounds he went through just to have her constantly going through electroshock therapy. The moment with them giving her the fork and being like, oh, kill her. And she's like, no, I know what y'all want me to do. And then the other girl kills herself, and they're like, all right, you fucked up, electroshock therapy. All because of Carmine's doings, and all because of him and this family and this empire that he's created. And her going through that big manhunt and trying to figure out what if Carmine was killing all these people and was he behind it, just emphasizing how much of a piece of shit he is and how much pull and grab he has over all of these officials and all of these coroners and all of these police officers. The fact that she even entertained that idea that gets her thrown into prison when just a couple of days ago Carmine was like, I've been thinking, I want you to take over the family. Oh, and then she fucks up and Carmine's like, all right, that's it. Like you're done for. And just puts her through 10 years of straight constant torture for her to come back out of it and face that family, face those people that she knows don't like her and that she knows had a part in torturing her all those years, because that's what the crime world does. This is the world that Oz has to eventually climb to the top. This is the world that we've been setting up this entire show, and you can't can you have that and not do a whole hour long flashback? Yes. Will it hit the same, and will the payoff be as great? I personally don't think so, because it's one thing to subtly show. We've been praising the world building. It's one thing to subtly emphasize how fucked up of a place Gotham is, how fucked up of a place Arkham is. It's another thing to actually follow that person through that entire journey, show where she's at now, and how she's neck and neck with Oz, and where we go from here. Like, this is just a taste of what one person had to endure because of this family, and what one person had to turn around and end up doing just to escape this family and finally put herself back on top. It's the climb. It's the climb of the crime world in Gotham, and I think this episode emphasized that shit gets messy, shit gets heated, and I don't think you can have that. And I think you have to have that setup for that payoff in that diner scene with her and everyone sitting there. And I also think the way they ended it off was beautiful, where she saves Vidi, the main fucking guy that, I mean, she can't kill Carmine. She can't do shit to Carmine now. But Vidi, who has had a huge hand in fucking her over, she leaves his window open on purpose so that she could be the one to sit there and be like, pull up your fucking pants, Vidi, we gotta talk. Boom, in the episode. She's back right where she wants to be after being kicked, thrown, and shocked to all hell for 10 constant years because of this fucking family. She had to endure all of that, come back out, climb, deal with Oz, deal with people stabbing her in the back, just to be right back holding that gun in Vidi's face, telling him, get the fuck up, we gotta talk.
I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a good point on the surface, but at the same time, I would just make the argument that, like, the family didn't really have a choice. If they didn't do that, Carmine's probably going to kill them anyway, or do the same thing to them. If they don't write letters talking about how crazy Sophia's been lately, or yeah, she did kill those people, what's to stop Carmine from doing the same thing to those people? So if anything, I could look at it from a different perspective of like, hey, Sophia, maybe you should go easy on the family, because like maybe they didn't want to do that. They had to do that because they were going to die if they didn't. You weren't going to die necessarily. You could have died, I guess, but you weren't necessarily going to die, you know? And then for the Vidi thing, I agree to a point, just because, sure, yeah, Vidi's been an issue, especially with I think the episode before the last episode, where he's like, you got 2 days to go to whatever, Italy or whatever. And then he's like, oh, or I'm going to start telling people that's where you went.
That was a sick line, by the way.
That was sick. I thought that was a badass line. But like I would say, like, if she, just from what we've seen of Vidi so far up to this point, excluding the flashback, she would have enough to want to separate him already, not even just off of the flashback stuff. I think that she would want to save him for some sort of leverage, et cetera, that kind of thing. I don't know. I just don't think that it served like any sort of like, maybe to help get a better idea, I guess, of the relationship with her brother and how important her brother was to her, because her brother was the only one that was there for her throughout the whole thing. She told that to us, though. At the same time, she already said that, and now that he's dead, I don't think that that's something that needs to be reinforced, because that's not something that's going to be explored further. He's gone, like, we understand that. And I understand also at the same time that, touching on that, it's a fresh wound that's brought up back up for her, I guess, because she just found out that Oz is in fact the one that killed him. But I don't know, it didn't, everything other than the flashback was great to me, but the flashback took up so much of the episode, so much.
I want to talk about a couple things. So first, the specific thing you brought up about like the family and how she maybe could play it more easy on them, because if she understood that like they were trying to avoid the same fate as her, that maybe she would, empathize with them in some regard and understand like they were just doing what they thought they had to save their own lives. And like I can understand what you're saying, but at the same point, even now at that point, after the fact, when now there isn't that threat on their lives, they still throw her under the bus. So it's not just like this one-off time where they're like just saving their skin. Even when they've then had the chance, they still undermine her repeatedly, and she still feels neglected. I mean, she still has that threat of basically being killed if she doesn't leave. I mean, that's like they're still putting her in that position of kind of like beating down on her. So I don't think that like,
Sure, but it's Italy versus Arkham, is what I would say.
well,
I don't know.
I mean, I would still say that like I could understand your point about, her sympathizing with them, that they were just trying to save their own lives, but only if they now were more welcoming and were better to her, I guess, if that's a way to put it. And obviously, like, they're not going as extreme to put her in Arkham, but still, she doesn't feel like she's getting the respect that she deserves. The biggest thing that I would say in my defense, specifically to having it focus on a big portion of this episode focus on the backstory, because I agree with you that like you can use your imagination, and could you not have the backstory and still have the rest of the present day play out, and it, you can fill in the blanks in your own mind? Sure. But my counter to that would be, one, like Aiden mentioned, I think that getting the backstory really puts a lot more significance into just like the weight of what happened to her, and also how that influenced her in the present day. But the bigger thing that I would say is that when she wakes up in present day with Dr. Julian Rush, and she kind of has this conversation with him, and that's her realization of like, I'm not going to take this anymore, and she decides to, take control of her destiny in a way. I don't think that if you go from, the very start of the episode with the commotion and Penguin leaves and whatnot, I don't think if you go from that immediately to her waking up with Julian Rush, it will, in my opinion, it will feel like there are some threads missing as to why she is making such a grand leap, and now she wants to take control of her own destiny. Whereas I think with all of, well, okay, it's hard to say all of, because we get a lot of backstory. I think the backstory helped us when we went back to present day to understand, she's, in a way, you almost think like while she's unconscious, she's almost reliving these events. And to me, that adds to the present day to understand why she now has this switch of like, I want to take control of my own destiny. So it's I agree with what you're saying to an extent, that like her character was already great. We could have had these moments. It would have been amazing. But I love getting this further depth, and then how that immediately ties into her character switching in the present day. The backstory helped the current day storyline, in my opinion. And like I would even, I know we've compared Penguin to Agatha before, but like backstory to characters is one of the things that I think they fumbled. They're expecting you to use your imagination and just hold on to bits and pieces of characters, and that's what you have to go off of. So for me, I appreciated that we got to spend time in that, and then ultimately it's still, in my opinion, then elevated our current storyline as we continue to move forward. And I can agree that to an extent, did you need to spend a whole hour on just her backstory? Not necessarily, but I do think that a lot of it really helped with elevating her character and just making our current story even better.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. With the backstory helping the current story of her going her own way, I do think that that's definitely a point to help support the flashback of the episode. But I would also then just say, like, I mean, when she was already kind of going her own way, Oz had talked his way into going that way with her prior to her going her own way. So then she came to Oz, was it, at the end of episode 2, and said, okay, Oz, let's do this. But like, she was probably going to take that leap anyway. Just Oz happened to weasel his way in like he's so good at. And so now with Oz clearly not being trustable anymore, her finding out the truth about him, I would imagine she's going to go her own way anyway now. But I will agree with the family aspect of it. Sure, it helped support the idea of her wanting to kill the family. I still would say that, like, I mean, the family was doing what they had to do. Like, I don't think that they didn't really have a choice, I would say. Because like, what was there to not like about Sophia before that? There was no inclination in those flashbacks about any family member not liking Sophia before that. She was doing everything right, other than maybe the fact that Falcone was not hinting, straight up said, like, I want you to be the head of the family someday. Other than that, like, they could have seen her as like direct competition. And that is where I will agree with you. But that wasn't shown. There wasn't even any teases towards that in the flashbacks. All that was just something that was said. So all I have, in fact, there's actually one of the girls in the flashback, not in the family, but there's one of the women, I think it was last episode before last, where she has a kid and she comes up and starts talking to Sophia, acting like it's normal. But then when her kid comes up, Sophia tries to like talk to her kid or touch her kid or something. She clutches her kid as hard as she can. And Sophia's like, oh, okay, so you're faking with me. That girl is in the flashback, and she's chatting it up with Sophia, loves to talk to Sophia and everything. So it's like, there was nothing to dislike about Sophia in the flashbacks. And then so I guess that further supports my idea that, like, the family didn't do this maliciously. It was like life or death. Support Falcone in what he's saying about his daughter, or you're gonna die. And now they just end up dying anyway because they did that, and Sophia's bitter about it. So I don't know. I understand your guys' and everybody else's stance, because holy shit. This whole past couple days, I felt like such an alienated loser, man. Like, I'm like, this is Moon Knight all over again, bro. This is insane. But yeah, man, I mean, it wasn't a terrible episode by any means. I just didn't like it. I don't know. It was the worst so far for me, I think. Yeah, that's in no part due to Kristen Milioti. Like, she's fantastic, and Sophia Falcone as a character, still fantastic. It just didn't add anything to her character for me, and I don't want to use like such like, and it's not vulgar, but like, I don't want to use reductive words like boring, but I found it boring myself. So
I just think it was a great episode to showcase, one, how troubling and how horrifying the climb to the top of the crime world can be. Nobody is safe, not even the daughter of literally the head of all of crime in Gotham. Nobody is safe at all. And I think it was really nice to highlight that, to just further set up just how fucked up of a world Oz is in, and that now Vic is in, especially because after last episode he was struggling with that the entire time. To just kind of put onto another character, show what they've been through, and show how gruesome even being attached to this could be, even as the daughter of the head of the crime world in this. I think if nothing else, it did a fantastic job at showcasing just how hard that climb can be, just how torturing this occupation can get sometimes, and just the full deconstruction and then reconstruction of one of your leads in your TV show. Literally a Kristen Milioti masterclass that was put on for an hour straight. So yeah, I
Actually, here's something I would say. Sorry to cut you off. Here's something I would say too. If like what is being prophesized, if you could say that about Victor and Oz, like we just talked about a little bit earlier, if that is to come to fruition, I would liken that to this. Because let's say Victor is almost like a son-like character to Oz, not really, but just someone he can mentor and someone that he eventually could hope could become like him, just like Falcone was with Sophia. Now, if that was sort of like an eye-opening thing for Victor or something, or like they likened it to Victor in some way, just showing Victor on the screen after these flashbacks or something. I don't know. To sort of symbolize it, like this is because I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Aiden, that this is the life of being around crime bosses, and like even though Sophia did not directly at all put herself anywhere near the crime family, in fact tried to go against it, just because she even though she's related to them, she still had to suffer all of these horrible things for 10 years. That's what baffled me, 10 years. And if they liken that to Victor and like the potential of a possibility of that happening to something like that happening to Victor, I think that lands a whole lot better for me. But
use your imagination. What happened to using your imagination, Charlie? What happened to connecting to it too?
I'm saying right now, I'm using my imagination. That's what I'm saying right now. But it's just like, that's where I actually, and I'm glad Ben said that too, because like when it comes to characters in Agatha, like that's mostly what it is. Is like they say something like, this witch lost her power, she's been shut out, and we don't see anything about that. So like, and I think that's a very grand and valid point. I guess just in this instance, I don't think that what was shown here added much of anything to what Sophia already felt in my mind. I guess it probably did, like you guys explained, like how she woke up and her entire ideology had changed about how she's going to do this on her own and everything. But in my mind, she was already at that point. And I don't see how her falling asleep and thinking about her past life in Arkham then made that switch for her, because I thought that switch was already flipped.
I don't think I have anything more to add on it. Like I understand what you're saying to an extent, and I know that you understand our points. It's just
sometimes people are wrong. It's okay, Ben. Sometimes people are.
Yeah, I'm talking to two wrong dudes right now. Isn't that crazy?
I mean,
that crazy.
Clearly, not many other people agree with you. But I mean, yeah. But I understand everything that you're saying, and like to an extent, I can agree with it, even if like fundamentally I disagree. You know, in this instance, I think I
All right,
think it
bro.
worked. But
It's all right, bro. I bring differing opinions to the podcast. I don't bring the sheep opinions. I
Hey,
don't bring the sheep.
I mean, it is probably the first time that me and Ben have agreed on something that you haven't, that we've talked about live. Because, like, obviously Moon Knight and, like, Far From Home and whatnot. But, yeah, makes for good discussion. I feel betrayed by you right now, man. I thought you would have
really
loved
thought you
it
were
because,
joking.
I mean, character work is, like, your specialty. And I was like, this was a complete, like, just, like I said, deconstruction and then reconstruction of a person's character.
I guess that's what I just ended with is just what, because like everything that we got more to her character, I didn't think was more to her character. I thought that already, like, I understood these things already. These
For
were
me,
things that I had already had in my mind.
it changes a lot for me. Like I said, whenever I first had first talked about it, it puts her in a whole new light for me, because it's one thing to hear her say, yeah, I just got back from Arkham, and like, oh shit, like Sophia's back from Arkham, like Carmine threw me in there, and like, oh Oz, what you did to me, getting me thrown in Arkham, like that's messed up. It's like, it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing for me to see it and to come out of the other side and be like, oh wow, like, yeah, kill this entire family, yeah, hold a gun up to Vidi, especially Vidi. I was hoping that she saved Vidi for last, because I hate Vidi. It's one thing for her to just like talk about it, and yeah, I know we're in a Penguin show, it's not the Sophia Falcone show, but she is a
I want to
lead.
clarify that's not my issue.
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
my-
I know,
I
but
want to clarify that's not my issue.
no, I know, but it's like,
Sound like one of those.
I just know that's something that someone could counter it with, which is like, oh, well, this is a Penguin show, like, why do we need to spend this much time, whatever. I get, it's another lead in this show that we have been following out of three, I would say, Oz, Vic, and Sophia. And so, yeah, to just show that to me and to show me how put together she was before all of this happened, how in high regard she was held, and her status in the family, and then to go through all of this and then to see her now, especially like a lot of the scenes being shot, like almost all of her scenes except for her meeting with the detective and then her getting taken to Gotham or getting taken to Arkham, it's all done in daylight. And then you snap back to present day, and I mean, she's right back in just like the absolute dark of the night, getting her hands dirty. And so, I don't know, for me to see it just holds her in a new light to where I'm like, holy shit, now every time I see her, it's like it's a new Sophia Falcone for me. So just figured maybe you'd have a couple more brain cells and put that together. But
That's crazy. Hey, bro, you're gonna see the light one day. Remember, I changed your mind about Eternals and Black Widow. Remember that, boy. Remember that, boy. Next time you rewatch Moon Knight, you're gonna realize, damn, that boy Charlie, bro. That boy Charlie, he's a futurist. He's a futurist, bro.
Well,
Crazy.
I believe that's all I had for Penguin, if anyone else. Alrighty. And that takes us... Oh, I'm sorry. Charlie, your mic, you'll hear it back in the playback. I don't know what's going on. It's like a lot of... after you finish talking, it's like it'll take old bits of what you were just like saying in the conversation and just like sporadically pop up. So like just now it was like, but... And so I was like, oh, Charlie has something to say. But I don't. He's been doing it all episode. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't want to move to a whole nother recording platform, so I'm just trying to ignore it. Okay, so I guess Charlie doesn't have anything extra to say. That has been it for episode 68 of the Words from the Nerds podcast. Great episode, great news. We're back again next week, same exact format. I'm watching We Live in Time Saturday. If we are down
I'm gonna try to
to
watch it Friday.
okay. If we're down to talk about that next week,
Not
To drive
showing in
3
my
hours to go.
theater.
I'm driving 3 hours to do it, so you can too, Benji.
whoa,
I'm also gone like the whole week.
interesting.
I forgot about
We'll discuss something. We'll chop something up for y'all. I mean, even if we don't, again, it'll just be another news. Agatha, Penguin, maybe. You said Venom comes out next week, so a week after next, catch Venom. Any big releases? What I'm trying to say, any big releases, any big news, we will be here to cover if we feel like it's worth covering. Same with Agatha episode 6 and Penguin episode 5. Hopefully we're back on here next week with a one-track mind so we can all praise this glorious show together. Forgive Charlie today, folks. I apologize. I didn't know. This is why we save our opinions for the episode.
Hey, if you hate what I said, tell me why I'm wrong. I actually genuinely would love to understand. Like, I love the insight that these boys put together, and I agree with some of it, but most of it is fucking wrong. So I'd love to hear some right stuff, you know?
Hey, that's what a text message is for. So leave a text message on what the heck? On any audio listening platform. Just click that link in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, the best way to send us a text message is dropping a little comment right there. You don't even have to leave the app for it. And we will acknowledge it. I wish I had Memish's sound. And we will acknowledge it next week on the pod. And I believe that is it from us. And we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Oh, sorry. Adios.